Hi everyone, my name is Wana Udobang. I'm a journalist, a poet, and a filmmaker. And don't forget to subscribe to Zamari TV for more exciting content and great conversation. I mean, I'm on here, hey.
Popular media personality Wana Udobang, also known as WanaWana, is an accomplished Nigerian writer, poet, journalist, researcher, filmmaker, and TV personality. The journalism graduate from the University of the Creative Arts, started her career at the Inspiration FM, and has moved on to work with major media platforms like the BBC, Al Jazeera, Huffington Post, and The Guardian. In 2016, she was longlisted for the One World Media Award in the Women Rights in Africa Award category. And her poetry albums Dirty Laundry and In Memory of Forgotten explore trauma, womanhood, love, and self-renewal. So, Wana. So, your career's journey has been very impressive.
Has it?
Yes, it has. From radio till now.
Okay.
You know, so tell me about getting into radio. How did that even happen to start with?
Okay, I studied journalism at university, and then I majored in radio, broadcast, and production. Although, like, my original intent was really more focused towards like documentary radio, so like BBC style, NPR style stuff. After I graduated from university, I did an internship at Rhythm. I came to Nigeria for like 2 months or a month. I did an internship at Rhythm 93.7 first. So that was like my first foray into like Nigerian commercial radio. You know, and like the whole like sort of more like it's more in the radio personality style than journalism per se. So I worked at Rhythm. So it was fun. It was a great time. Went back to England, was still doing like freelance radio work, and I had a regular 9 to 5 in recruitment.
Okay.
People don't know that. So yeah, I was working recruitment, and then I was doing like freelance radio work as well. And then I think at the end of 2008, I was like, okay, do you know what? I'd been friends. So when I came for the holiday in that 2007, I made lots of friends. That was, I think, the whole like creative scene was just starting to bubble. Yes. So there were all these really amazing creative people in Lagos. It was insane. We used to go for Sundays at the Bay, and then you meet everybody was like an animator, a writer, that, like, and we were all like super young. Everyone was like under 30. It was just like incredible energy. And then, of course, social media, of course, started as well. So I went back to England. I kept in touch with a bunch of people. There, again, music was just starting. Okay. So I kept in touch with a lot of people, whether it was people in music, people in like writing, animation, like all this kind of stuff, radio people, stuff like that. And then I think, you know, do you know how people move to Nigeria because of Instagram? I won't say I moved to Nigeria because of Facebook, but I mean, I kept in touch, and it was like, it was just interesting, like this bubbling scene that was happening. Okay. And I was like keeping in touch with people as well. So I said, you know what, I wanted to go to Nigeria for a break. So I actually bought a return ticket. It was supposed to be like a 9-month return ticket. I came in January 2000 and now to go back in September. So I was like, I just want to take a break and just explore and see what's happening here and stuff like that. And then I got here, and then of course I got a job at a radio station.
Almost immediately?
Yeah, so I'd kind of been working so I'm a bit of a scaredy cat.
Okay.
People think I just can take the plunge. No, I planned my plunge.
Okay.
So for like about a year plus, I'd been like, I wanted to come to Nigeria. So I remember I'd been applying for jobs in Nigeria. I'd listened to like every single advertising agency in Nigeria. Wow. Yeah, somebody actually gave me a database. I'd emailed every single one. Okay. There was one that was like, oh, okay, when you come to Nigeria, let's see. There was one I actually technically got a job because the boss actually came to England. We had dinner. He interviewed me. But then when he told me how much the money was going to pay, I was like, Jesus, how am I supposed to eat? You know? So I was like, yeah, this is not really going to work. And then I had even tried to pursue working at Rhythm after doing an internship there. Then I think what happened, I met Audu Curry actually in London. He came there was a conference or something. I was interviewing him for like a podcast I was doing. I was just doing on the side from my own. And then from there he was like, oh, you know, then he was like, oh, we should hang out. We hung out. Then we hung out again and another day. And there's a guy called Wale Wedemi there. And he's like, oh, you know, Wale is opening a radio station in Nigeria. You should totally hire her, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So he's like trying to big me up and all of that. And they're like, yeah, whatever. You know, when you come to Nigeria, we'll see you type of thing. So I think I tried to keep in touch online. And then I think an announcement was even made that, this Inspiration FM radio station was about to open. My brother sent me a link to like the website or whatever. I think it was an app to apply. I even sent like all the information they want, CV, everything, audio, whatever. Coincidentally, I now realized it's actually this Wale Wedemi guy who had even met in Jan, who had met already. So I now messaged him on Facebook. I was like, I actually saw a whatever, and all of that. Anyway, that's how the whole thing. So when I did move to Nigeria, literally I called him. I was like, okay, because he was like, look, when you are here, we'll see. Because I think a lot of people have been saying they wanted to move, but then they never do anything. Yeah. So I think he was like, they will say when you're on ground, that's how they said it. So, by the time I got to Nigeria, I was like, okay, I'm here and everything. It's like, okay, cool. That we're actually even like kind of looking for someone, but just he was really really cool. So Mr. Wale was very interesting because he was almost like, please, you ain't shit type of thing, So he was like, okay, just come, let's have a conversation. So I went to meet him at the office. We just talked for a couple of minutes, and after that he said, just meet Dan Foster in the studio. And so the next thing, Dan Foster's like, okay, grab your headphones, and like we're chatting, and I think we started talking about film. Actually, and cinema. I was like, you really like movies, don't you? I was like, yeah, like, I'm told we are both like exchanging about this and we're really getting along. And apparently I think that was an audition. I didn't realize it.
And you aced it.
I don't even know. But anyway, after that they were like, okay, like I got them. They were like, do you know what? We want to come and work here, but this is what we offer you. Like, there was a lot of like debates on what to do or what not. Money wasn't great, but I was like, okay, you know what? I want to do this thing. So I studied radio and I really enjoyed radio. Especially like my experience at Rhythm, I really enjoyed it as well. So that's basically how I started working there. I remember that same day. Funny enough, I now tweeted. And I Facebooked, because I wasn't on Twitter yet. I Facebooked, I was like, back to the motherland. And then there was a guy called Jeremy who was working with Next. And Jeremy was a blogger. We had all like been friends on the internet, And so he was like, you're in Nigeria, like, you should totally come. I'm running this newspaper, and I really like the stuff you do. So I really, I think you would be. And then I think I went to interview at Next as well. Then they took some time, but they eventually gave me an offer. And I was like, I'm already working at Inspiration. It was like 6 months in, so they kind of wasted my time. But what I did, I ended up freelancing at Next. Okay. So I was working at Inspiration, and then I was now writing for Next at the same time. Oh, wow. So that was,
how did you feel when you said that you wanted to take time and just say, okay, this is good, I love, because you were popular, you were popping, but, I'm leaving for me. How did you get to that space?
So I think there were many sort of interesting factors and things happened over time. Mm-hmm. So for starters, I did the morning shift. I had done weekend shifts. So I think the only shift I never actually did was like that overnight shift. And I'm just like, I'm never doing that graveyard. But I'd done everything. So I think I'd done morning, I'd done afternoon, where I covered for my colleagues. I've moved around a bit. And then of course, like doing the evening shift and drive time and stuff like that. I think what happened was, so when I moved to, so when I did the morning, it was fun, it was interesting, but it wasn't mentally stimulating for me after a while, because I was like, okay, this isn't like, just like playing pranks on radio every morning and what's up every time. Like after a while, it felt very like pointless. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not trying to form over deep. Yeah. But I think I always seek meaning. I think that's just part of who I am as a person. I'm always seeking meaning, seeking deeper meaning into things. So for me, it was great when they moved me to the other shift, and it was more challenging. And then I'm on this show where, which for me was revolutionary way, because that show, it wasn't started by me, it was started by Chaz B. But it was revolutionary because it was really opening the lids on conversations that Nigerians were never having. And we come from a very, very sort of like closed culture in terms of, and a culture very much filled with shame as well. We don't discuss a lot of things. Even things that we should not be ashamed of. We don't discuss them. So it becomes like this bubble of shame that we're constantly living in. So I think there was this deep meaning for me in the fact that we're doing a show that's peeling layers out of a community and a society and really changing the way that we deal with things and have conversations around different subject matter as well. So I think that was very exciting for me. And then, of course, I took over the show before Chaz left, when he fell ill and all of those sorts of things. That also gave me a chance to really like have discussions about things that I was very passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, interview people that I was very passionate about, hearing their stories, and really kind of like engaging in storytelling. But I think a point did come that, you know, it did feel repetitive. We had tons and tons of conversations. We had them over and over and over again. And it kind of, I felt like the thing had done its work. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I felt like I had done my job.
Yeah. Because you feel like you've done all you could do.
Yes, I felt like I had maximized all I could do.
Yes.
And then, of course, even if I would have liked to do more, the system in which you work in will not give you that room to do the more that you want to do.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they want to everybody wants to stick to the status quo and what brings in money. So if you want to do things that are more interesting and more exciting, you know, there's wahala. And so I was tired of those bureaucracies and those kinds of compromises as well. So that's on one sort of level. I think on another level, would I say a shallow level, I was also uncomfortable with the fact that part of the what I was getting known for didn't feel like it was my work, but it was just that I was this person on the radio. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I know.
And I found that I've never wanted to be that person. I've always wanted to be known for my skill or the thing that I'm doing. And also that's popularity or influence is what I ended up living off of. So it's like, even in terms of earning a living, whatever you're being paid is not great. But then you earn a lot more. You earn most of your other money outside of that work. And then there is this thing that if you are no longer relevant in the thing that you're doing, you no longer earn money outside. And I thought that was just so problematic for me.
Was that a major fear for you? Because I know that
it was a thing. I mean, it was a thing. I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be. So I didn't want to become this person who would find myself doing gimmicky things to stay relevant.
Exactly. So because of you know that you are WanaWana.
Yes.
There's a name attached to this.
So I would have to do all these things that have nothing to do with the work itself. Maybe go to things that I didn't care about. Find myself participating in things that I didn't care about because I needed to stay relevant. So this idea of relevance not being attached to my work was such a problem for me. And I was like, I need to leave that space completely. I need to be in a place where my work is what speaks for me. You know,
But do you feel like even in Nigeria as a whole, we have put so much pressure in a way and we don't even realize it on people who, because I know that for me personally, I think that was my major struggle. You know, because you're on television and people know you, and you know. But what do you know me for? The guy on TV.
Exactly.
For the work that I'm doing.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. You know.
And you're now torn, and then people tell you that if you make a step away from this, you'll be able to earn money, you'll be able to do anything.
It's like your life is over. Like they tell you your whole life's identity is wrapped up in this character that people have created for themselves. And I'm not that.
So how was it when you now decided to break away from that? How hard was it? Because I knew it would have had to.
So there was. I'm going to be very, very honest. Because you know, if you're living in a place where the rules say a certain thing, however contrarian you think you are, however individualistic you think you are, however experienced you think you are, because you know you are one in a sea, you are going to be scared. Like you know. As much as you think you're confident, like it's like, is this thing is who I am? Is that going to be enough? Is that going to work? So there were a lot of fears. So for instance, I would say when I first left, I still found myself trying to be relevant because it was like, you have left radio now. Your career has died. Nobody's going to know who you are. You know, nobody's going to call you to moderate anything. Nobody's going to call you to MC anything. Because this was based on the fact that they were hearing your voice every day. So your voice was like, you know, permeating everybody's permeating everybody's consciousness on a daily basis. And now they don't hear your voice anymore. They don't see you because you're probably not on television or anything. Because that was another thing. People say, you know what, you need to branch into this. People need to be aware, expand your brand so that people know, people see you. So it's almost like you need to just take any goddamn show that you don't care about just so you'll be seen. I'm like, I feel like my life's worth is more than just being seen for being seen sake, you know? So, so you're always kind of told that, and I never really did all of those things. So I know I didn't have one kind of, I wasn't doing like 10 entertainment shows that people would just be seeing me everywhere. I was not a brand ambassador for anybody. So I was not on any adverts that you'd see on television or a billboard. So, I'm like, you're going to be forgotten. Like, this is what they're telling you. So I remember, like sort of the first, say 2 or 3 months, always still trying, like finding myself trying to be in a space of trying to be relevant in some way. And it wasn't really conscious, but I could feel that I hadn't fully moved on. I was still trying to dabble. Yes, I was trying to dabble. So I remember still like having ideas and trying to like, come up with ideas for things. Or I remember even taking it was a private gig for a fertility clinic. And so it was like a radio show that was going to be recorded. And I did it, but I was like, at some point I was just exhausted doing the thing because I was like, I don't feel like doing this. But then it was like, okay, well, at least your voice will be on radio again or whatever. I did it also for the money, but
which is also very important.
We need to pay bills. But yeah, there was that moment where I was toying with the idea of, I'm going into an abyss of, oblivion, so to speak. But I think you get over that. It did for me. It wasn't too long. I didn't dwell in that for too long. But so yeah, it was like, even since you are doing poetry, really like brand yourself so people will see you and this and that. So I remember I would still perform at certain places for less than I was worth because it felt like, okay, if I'm transitioning from radio, at least I'm a performance artist, so let it be something where they still see me. Let them see me.
Yes.
So I would take way less money than I should because I wanted to make sure that I was still seen or I have photos to post up of these events or whatever. But that didn't last long. It was just a couple of months. But I found myself like, it's like, look, if you're going to move forward in your life, you cannot keep looking back and front.
What was the thing that you told yourself? Because I think that is very important when you tell yourself that I am okay by being me. So
I think it happened over time, but I think there were certain opportunities that were sources of validation. So those opportunities became markers. So for instance, I think what would happen is I would write an article or something and it would just do its thing, right? Then I started applying for fellowships, journalism fellowships to just get better at my work and expand my network, my journalism network, just to build that career really. And I was getting these opportunities. Like I would apply and I would get it. I'll apply and I get it. So like today I'm going to South Africa as a distinct fellow. Tomorrow I'm going to Colombia. I'm just like, okay. And so I think in a way for me it was like the universe saying, it was the universe's way of saying to me, I have your back.
That's very key.
And yeah, so I think those markers were also validation experiences that said, move on.
So you talked about poetry earlier on, how you're a successful spoken word performer.
Am I successful?
You are one of the, and then you released your album, and Dear Father seems to. I don't know if people have given you feedback.
Yes.
There are a lot of poems, feminist poem, Catfish is a very popular one, but Dear Father is very, for people who have been in that space, what is the relationship like now, with your father?
It doesn't exist. Like I've not seen my father I haven't spoken to my father since I was 10 years old. I haven't seen him since I was 16. And literally when I say see, it was literally just like walk past. So yeah, it doesn't, yeah.
Does it affect anything? How do you feel when you perform Dear Father?
I think that that part of my life affects everything in my life. It's been a very huge influence in my work in itself. Whether it's working with women, whether it's working about domestic violence, whether it's about confidence in young women. I think my sort of family history and my father not being a part of my life has always. But I think I always say, what do you take this? So the effect It's how do I use the effect, I guess, is the thing. So, but I think there's no way it's always affected different parts of my life, whether it's my relationship with my romantic relationships, whether it is my relationships with friends. So there are things that I'm learning about myself and I'm unlearning, whether it was from survival mechanism or so all of those kind of things. So I think there's always a thread in every aspect of my life and the things I'm passionate about and my work as well.
So you say that it made you more feminist in your ideology?
It definitely made me more of many things. It definitely made me more feminist. It made me more compassionate towards people and towards situations and more empathic. Because I think as much as we're all very different, trauma tends to have the same effect on all of us.
Yes, true.
Right? So we all experience loss, we all experience pain, we all experience neglect, we all experience frustration, we all experience heartbreak, whether it's heartbreak by a lover or a parent or a person or a friend. But essentially, beneath the situation, which is different, we all share the same themes in our lives. And so I think that definitely gives me access to certain emotions that allow me to connect to people in different ways. And also helps me in the work that I do in telling people stories as well. And that's probably in positive ways, and in negative ways in how I relate sometimes on how unkind I am to myself and sometimes to even, other people. So I think it definitely has a flow in every element of my life. The key thing is to be aware of when you're doing things and to be unlearning them as you grow. But that's what growth is.
Growth. That meme is the best.
Yeah, I know, growth.
What would you say is your life mantra? What do you mean?
Oh gosh, do I have any life mantra? I think of so many things all the time. I think one thing that I think constantly is big for me is being myself. Like just authenticity and being yourself.
People say that I think people say that in the vacuum sometimes, though, but how do you, because I always tell myself, people say, be yourself, be true to yourself, but how do I find myself? How am I true to me?
So I think for me, it comes from places of self-loathing. It comes from places of discomfort with myself. It comes from places of in terms of self-doubt. And I think I've constantly been, I always say that, we put all our problems on other people, but essentially for me, my biggest enemy has always been myself. When you think about it, in the end, it's yourself. And so I think one of the biggest comforts comes from finding peace in who it is that you are. So it does sound very ominous, but I think it's about you finding the connection to you.
In that perspective, I get it. I get it totally. How it's in those spaces of, like you said, self-doubt.
Yes. Those spaces,
You begin to understand.
Yeah. Yes. And I think I find that once I'm comfortable with who I am, there is a certain great deal of power in that. To be able to walk into a room and be able to take up space comfortably without being apologetic. Like it now traverses into different parts of your life or in different parts of my life. So whether it's doing my work and like owning my voice, like it's okay. Like if I'm writing a story, it's okay to write it this way. It doesn't have to be like anybody else. And even if you don't think it's cool, or if you don't think it's okay, you don't think it's brilliant, it's fine. I think it's fine, and that's what matters, right? So like I have agency in my own life, essentially. I think, agency in your life, So the choices, you need to be okay with the choices you're making and know that they come from a place of being empowered, as opposed to being a place of fear or a place of other people's expectations. Yeah,
that's very cool. When you leave this earth, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, when I leave this earth, I know this now. Before I used to think about this a lot. I was like, I don't know. Now I know this. I want to just be remembered for the little individual impacts I made in people's lives. Nothing really grand, So it's in the conversation I had with you that you'd never forget, that changed something for you. It is maybe in the one thing I did for you in the meal that you had in my house. Like, yeah, that's all I care about.
Yeah.